Roald Amundsen did not become great by loving danger. He became great because he prepared before danger arrived. At the South Pole, where pride, distance, hunger, and cold met, that habit made history. Roald Amundsen was born on July 16, 1872, in Borg, Norway, into a family connected to shipping and the sea. His father died when Roald was young. His mother wanted him to study medicine and avoid the life of sailors. Amundsen followed that wish for a time, but he did not feel at home in it. As a boy, he read polar expedition books. He noticed the practical causes of failure: bad food, weak clothing, poor timing, heavy loads, and leaders who waited too long to act. He slept with his windows open in winter to train against cold. He felt drawn to the polar world, but feared its carelessness. That fear made him prepare. After his mother died in 1893, Amundsen left medicine. He chose the sea, worked on ships, learned navigation, and trained as a sailor. The decision gave him relief, but not security. Exploration meant nothing unless he became useful, where mistakes killed men. In 1897, Amundsen joined the Belgian Antarctic expedition aboard Belgica. In 1898, the ship became trapped in Antarctic pack ice, and the crew spent the winter there. The facts were harsh: darkness, sickness, cold, weak food, and falling morale. Poor diet brought scurvy. Unclear leadership slowed action. Amundsen felt fear, but the fear was specific. He feared disorder. He left with a rule: food, clothing, routine, transport, and morale had to be planned before crisis began. His next goal was the Northwest Passage, the Arctic sea route that had defeated explorers for centuries. In 1903, he sailed in Gjøa, a small vessel with a small crew. Near King William Island, he learned from Inuit communities. He studied fur clothing, dog sleds, snow shelters, and travel over ice. In 1906, Gjøa completed the first successful navigation of the Northwest Passage. Publicly, the achievement made him known. Privately, it confirmed his method. The ice rewarded adaptation, not pride. After that success, Amundsen planned to reach the North Pole. At that time, polar exploration was also national prestige. Newspapers followed expeditions. Sponsors wanted firsts. A pole was not just a point on a map. It was proof that a nation and its methods could defeat blank spaces. Then, in 1909, Frederick Cook and Robert Peary both claimed to have reached the North Pole. The public prize had changed. Amundsen faced debt, sponsors, and a goal that might no longer bring enough attention. He felt cornered. He judged that the North Pole could no longer justify the cost. He secretly changed the goal from the North Pole to the South Pole. He did not announce this openly before departure because he feared losing support. The choice was practical, but uncomfortable. Amundsen knew secrecy could damage trust. He chose it because he believed the expedition would collapse if the new plan became known too soon. The South Pole mattered because it was one of the last great geographic prizes on Earth. The North Pole had become disputed. The South Pole was still untouched. Its meaning was symbolic and scientific. A human party would cross Antarctica's cold interior and prove that organized method could reach the center of the southern ice. In 1910, Fram sailed south. Once the ship was underway, Amundsen informed his crew that they were going to Antarctica. Robert Falcon Scott's British expedition was also heading for the South Pole. From that moment, Amundsen was in a race. His reaction was not dramatic. He made calculations. He established his base, Framheim, at the Bay of Whales. The site placed him closer to the pole than Scott's base. He built supply depots and marked them with flags so the men could find them on the return. He relied on skis and dogs because dogs pulled faster than men. Every major choice had one purpose: reduce what could go wrong. Before the final journey, he made an early attempt in September 1911. The weather was too cold, and the party turned back. Hjalmar Johansen criticized Amundsen's leadership after men were exposed to danger. Amundsen felt embarrassed and angry, but the lesson was clear. Impatience had entered the plan. He removed Johansen from the final party and waited. The final journey began on October 19, 1911. The party was Amundsen, Olav Bjaaland, Helmer Hansen, Sverre Hassel, and Oscar Wisting. They traveled with dog teams and sledges. The men skied. The dogs pulled food, tents, fuel, and gear. As planned, some dogs were killed to feed the remaining dogs and the men. It was brutal, but it reduced weight and preserved the moving team. The daily work was concrete. They measured distance, checked food, watched dogs, and repaired equipment. They crossed crevasses and climbed onto the polar plateau. Amundsen felt pressure grow as they moved farther south. He wanted the pole, but he feared the return more than the arrival. A missed depot or a broken rhythm could turn victory into death. As they neared the pole, the emotional weight changed. For years, the South Pole had been a point on a map. Now it was a place under their skis. The men were tired, but the system still held. Amundsen did not allow speeches or disorder. The closer they came, the more he forced himself to think like a navigator, not a conqueror. On December 14, 1911, the 5 men reached the South Pole. They planted the Norwegian flag, took observations, and named the camp Polheim. There was no crowd and no music. There was only a tent, instruments, snow, wind, and the knowledge that they were first. Amundsen felt satisfaction, but he controlled it immediately. The pole was the climax of the race, but not the end of the expedition. They still had to return alive. He left letters and records in the tent, including a message for Scott in case the British party arrived later. If Amundsen died on the return, the records could still prove the achievement. Even at the summit of success, documentation mattered because survival was not guaranteed. The return journey proved the value of the plan. The depots were found. The men reached Framheim on January 25, 1912. None of the 5 men in the Polar Party died. Only after reaching safety could the achievement become real. Amundsen had not merely touched the pole. He had reached it and brought his men back. When the news became public in March 1912, Norway celebrated. For a young nation that had only recently become independent from Sweden, Amundsen's victory carried national meaning. Norwegian skiing, seamanship, and planning had beaten one of the world's strongest empires to the last great polar prize. Around the world, newspapers reported the feat as a major human and geographic achievement. The reaction was not simple. In Britain, the news was soon darkened by Scott's fate. Scott and his men reached the pole after Amundsen and died on the return. Many British readers mourned Scott as a noble, tragic hero. Amundsen was respected, but sometimes judged as colder and less romantic. The contrast shaped the meaning of the South Pole. Scott became the story of sacrifice. Amundsen became the story of method. After the South Pole, Amundsen did not retire into fame. In 1918, he sailed in Maud, hoping to drift through Arctic ice and gather scientific information. The voyage produced observations, but not the dramatic result he wanted. He felt frustration because the work was real, but the public result looked smaller than the cost. By the 1920s, aircraft were changing exploration. In 1926, Amundsen flew over the North Pole in the airship Norge with Lincoln Ellsworth and Umberto Nobile. The flight proved that the Arctic could be crossed by air, but it brought conflict over credit. In 1928, Nobile's airship Italia crashed in the Arctic. Men were missing. Despite their conflict, Amundsen joined the rescue effort. He knew what ice did to stranded men. His feeling before departure was not warm friendship. It was duty shaped by experience. On June 18, 1928, Amundsen boarded a French Latham 47 seaplane with a rescue crew and flew north over the Barents Sea. The plane disappeared. Amundsen's body was never recovered. He vanished while trying to rescue other men from the polar danger he had studied for his entire life. After his disappearance, he was remembered as the leader who reached the South Pole first and returned alive. His wider influence remained practical. Later explorers studied his use of dogs, skis, depots, clothing, route planning, and respect for local knowledge. Roald Amundsen succeeded not through bravery alone, but through careful planning, discipline, and respect for the environment. His South Pole achievement proved that method and preparation could overcome even the harshest conditions on Earth.